Hey everybody, and welcome to my Disc Priest guide for 7.0. Today I'm just going to be going over the basics of Disc Priest, just the talents, how to play it, how to spec, what trinkets you want to be using, and just the general playstyle and its pros and cons. So Disc is Blizzard's first real hybrid in WoW. It was originally designed with the 70% healing, 70% damage. And it's doing really well in that regard, actually. So I'm probably gonna say it does more than that in the healing department, and it's pretty much up there with the DPS. So to be brought, to be considered for a raid, you want to be able to feel that I'm a DPS, like I can do the damage everybody else does, and I can do the same healing everybody else does. So if you're 70% DPS and you're 70% healer, then you're essentially 1.4 of a person. So you're definitely going to be viable at that point. From the raid testing I've done, Disc is, looking to be in a really, really, really good spot. Definitely, outdoing the 70%. So, I don't really understand why people are, adverse to the spec in the raiding community. It's being fairly poorly received. And I just don't see why. I personally just think it's because it's actually a fairly difficult spec to play, and just people can't really get over it. They can't do it. So first thing I really want to be doing today is talking about keybindings first up, actually. So big thing with keybindings is you'll notice plea, penance, and power shield. They're all instant cast. Well, they're not instant. They can all be cast on the move. So you want to be having them on on buttons you can be pressing while you're moving. So for me, I can easily press anything on the right hand side of D. So I can press E, R, F, G, C, 3, 4, all those spells very easily while moving left and right. So I have my spammable abilities that are instant cast on those keys. And then I have abilities with 1 or more minutes, on the cooldown. I have them on shift modifiers. Just because, you don't want to be using your spammable abilities on shift modifiers. You don't want to be pressing keys when you don't have to. And then next up, the other really important thing is for the use of things like Fade and Powered Shield that aren't on the global cooldown. You're going to be able to, cast them while you're casting another spell. So you want to be, like, I personally have them on mouse buttons, and that's just because, I can press them simultaneously with a different hand while I'm, using another spell. That's just, fairly basic thing of WoW. I don't think, enough people talk about it. It is very important, and people just don't really seem to do it. The next thing is macros. So, basic macro. It's something pretty much you should be learning on your third or fourth week when you just started to play WoW. How to run a macro. It's not very difficult. Most people just use them to bind their trinkets. All healers should be doing it to heal, basically. You want to be always targeting the boss, and then you want to be healing through raid frames just on mouse overs. Shouldn't be typing in there. It's a fairly basic thing. There was a lot of kind of QQ on the beta forums, which I know it's a terrible place to be looking, but there's people posting about how to play Disc Priest without mouse overs, which is honestly quite ridiculous. Everyone should really be playing the game to do the best they can, and if you're not willing to do the best you can with a spec, you don't really deserve an opinion. So, mouse over is pretty basic, just /cast at mouse over, then the string name of the spell. Alright, so enough boring preliminary stuff, let's get into the talents. So the first tier of talents, you've got the Penitent. This spell is absolute dog shit. Never take this spell. So the idea behind it is you turn your Penance, which does 24,000 damage, into a heal that does 25,000 damage. So for anyone who doesn't know, your damage as a Disc Priest gets converted into healing through Mastery and the passive Atonement. So right now I'm in 850 gear. It's just mythic plus dungeon gear, and my atonement is at 53%. So basically you're going to be doing double the amount of healing on your penance, but to a single target. Now the kicker for this is that you can take castration. Castration will give you an extra bolt on your penance. So when we cast penance, we're going to be getting 4 bolts. So those 4 bolts, 33% increased damage on penance. It's not exactly the same as taking, the single target heal, but if you're in a scenario where you're going to be single target healing with your penance, you're better off just casting Shadow Mend. Shadow Mend single target will do pretty much as a penitent. It's just, it gives you that negative effect, but if you're casting on someone like the tank, which is pretty much the only time you want to be single target healing like that, you're better off just, taking the extra damage from the penance. You're better off playing your role as a disc priest, as a damage dealer, and then healing with Shadow Mend rather than using your penance on a single target. Castogen is a very nice DPS increase, and it is the go-to for pretty much all situations. Schism is a very attractive pickup, increasing the damage you do, and does more damage than a smite. What's that, almost, 40% increased damage on a smite. But the problem with Schism that you don't really notice until you start playing is that as a disc priest you are very locked for globals. So in your Schism window you're pretty much losing damage when you're casting your heals and you're not using that 30% increase. So it's just generally better off to be taking your 33% increase on the penance rather than just a flat 30% damage increase. It does not really sound right when you're playing with it. I kind of didn't believe it at first, but yeah, penance is just the cookie cutter way to go. Schism's fine for easy content, easy dungeons where you want to be doing more damage. You can take it. No one's going to yell at you for taking it. Just in a raid scenario, it does actually have a very large mana cost if you compare it to smite. And when it's rotational like that, that does tend to chew through what you're using. So next up, we're going to talk about the tier 30 ones. So Angelic Feather is the general go-to for most people. I think everyone's kind of loved this spell. It has gotten nerfed fairly significantly, but it's still that great on-demand burst run speed you can get. It's very good. Body and Soul is kind of good. I generally don't like to take this one though, because Power Word Shield is rotational. What you do find in raids is because Plea, as you apply it to more targets, it does actually become more mana than using Power Word Shield. So you generally find yourself just Power Word shielding off cooldown. So that's not really a reliable way of doing it through Body and Soul. And I don't know if anyone else has been in the raiding community for a long time, but running off cliffs because you got extra run speed when you're trying to position yourself with Body and Soul ain't fun. So I just generally kind of don't like that talent. I know some people kind of did have a hard on for it when you're playing in HFC and all you're doing is spamming Power Word Shield, but I just generally think Feather is a much better way to go. Masochism is good. It's the real question is why are you casting Shadow Mend on yourself? Is it because you fucked up? And run speed there would help you out. It's kind of like it's in the wrong talent tree, I guess. It doesn't really belong, because I kind of view this as a movement speed talent tree. I kind of think every class needs their movement speed. I just don't think you can't drop a movement speed for a healing increase just on yourself. I just don't think it's worth it. The tier 45 is all situational. Dominant Mind, RIP. It was a very fun spell. I am very annoyed they nerfed it, but it still kind of has its uses. But enough of that. So the next tier of talents, Mindbender is the default for most people. Mindbender does heal you through its damage, which is very nice. You can see kind of the swirly shit. I actually have numbers turned off. Oh, well, there you go. You can see them on me. But yeah, it's Mindbender, does a lot of damage. 400. Oh, well, that's on the mob, so you can't actually see it. Does do a lot of damage. Does scale with haste on its auto attacks. Does return mana. It's very good. Powered Solace is alright. It's not. I wouldn't take it over Mindbender, because you're essentially then just trading Solace for Smite globals. Doesn't do that much more damage than Smite. and to my knowledge, it's not a DPS increase over Mindbender, and not a minor increase over Mindbender. So I don't really see a place for it. I'd have chosen to try it on some fights where there's like a lot of movement, and you can't be casting Smite. But I just think Mindbender is a lot better to go with, and it's also a nice cooldown as well. Shield Discipline is very good for long fights. It does give you a lot of mana back. It does work with Rapture. This is 2% base mana, so it gives you, half the cost essentially in your Powered Shield. Powered Shield always gets absorbed, like it's, 10% of your HP as a heal. It's not much, so it's pretty much constantly going to get absorbed. But that is, they're all right, that talent tree. So the 75s, Contrition is kind of garbage. I notice a lot of people when they first pick up the spec, they take it. I don't think it's worth using, honestly. A lot of the time, it's like a 13% increase on your atonement. It's not amazing. It's not good. A lot of the time, you're going to be, casting atonements when you're moving. 2 seconds increase on atonement doesn't really outweigh the benefits you get from the other two talents. And it's kind of like, so the way I see it kind of is that most times you want to be atoning people's because they've taken either a little bit of damage or they're going to be taking damage for a long period of time. If you can't be healing that person in that 15 seconds for that damage, then healing that person in 17 seconds doesn't make a difference. Same with a long duration. So if they have a 30-second debuff on them, you're going to be applying that atonement generally twice or even 3 times if they take a lot of damage afterwards. So it's just not. And that's probably not a very good way of comparing them, but I don't think it outweighs Power Infusion or Twisted Fate. So Power Infusion does what it's always done, just a cooldown. And Twisted Fate's actually really good, but I've just found in generally the normals I've been doing that Twisted Fate doesn't really proc enough. 35%, obviously, if it's a normal and it's very easy, getting lots of Twisted Fate procs. It's nice in Mythic Dungeons. The damage increase is nice. But one thing to note about it is that your increased damage from your atonement doesn't actually apply to your atonement healing. So you only actually get, your healing is only increased by 20%, not the additive 40. But you do get that damage increase just passively on your spells. It is 10 seconds. It's alright, it's not too bad. The next tier of talents, like the Penitent, Clarity Will, garbage, never take it. Might have its situational uses in a raid. I just don't like it. It's gross, it's 2.03, this is 2.5 second base cast. Doesn't do a lot of healing. Why on earth people think it's a good idea to take is beyond me. Just remove it, Blizzard, please. It's a trap. Divine Star is good, you can use it on the move, it's instant cast. It's just, why use that when you can take Halo? Which has, does the same thing as Divine Star, but in a larger area and, 3 times less globals. They're both good to take. You pretty much take Halo unless you can't use it. And now for the last tier of talents. So, Purge of the Wicked just replaces your Shadow Word Pain and makes your Shadow Word Pain basically spread when you cast Penance. This spell is actually really good. It's not too much of a damage increase, but it is something. It's better than the other 2 options in raids at least. It's nice. Grace. So the problem with Grace is that you do increased healing when you already have Atonement on the target, and all your single target healing spells apply Atonement. So generally when you're doing that, you're going to be doing the wrong thing anyway. The only time this spell actually, is good will be in a Mythic Plus dungeon where you need that tank healing from Shadowmend. And that increased tank healing from Shadowmend is fairly significant. That's generally the only time I've been taking it. You get a lot of damage out of this thing, though, when you take Purge of the Wicked. Even in Mythic Plus dungeons, like, if you have generally found when I'm running with a DK or a Brewmaster, you can get away with running Purge of the Wicked. Like, if you see, so to go back to the damage recap, what Tichondrius, what's this one? Here you go, Purge of the Wicked, top damage. Tichondrius does have a few AoEs in it, but Purge of the Wicked, top damage. So it's very nice to take that spell. I really like it. Grace, I probably would never take in a raid, even if there wasn't multiple targets for Purge of the Wicked, because it's essentially just encouraging you to do the wrong thing. You don't want to be using Shadowmend really in a raid. It uses a lot of mana, and it's spot healing is not what a disc priest does. Spot healing's, let the shamans and paladins do that. And that's something, people don't really understand as well as a healer, is that you got to know your role. Like as a disc priest now, you got to kind of know that you're there to do damage and healing. So you want to be trying to do as much damage as you can, and just pad kind of healing. And Shadowy Covenant kind of digs in that same thing, is that you're not a throughput healer. This spell doesn't even do that much healing, like because it essentially leaves a healing absorb on them. So your second cast of this essentially is an 80k heal, which why would you use that over Radiance? Like it's less mana obviously, but it's not worth taking. It's kind of a trap. Like if you're gonna be using Shadowy Covenant a lot, just play Holy. Like it's not worth using. Alright, next up we've got the Artifact Weapon. So the Artifact Weapon, pretty straightforward where you want to go. You want to be going around to the left, you want to be picking up Power of the Dark Side. This did get nerfed, but it's still pretty good. They did nerf it and buff Confession. I think that's trying to get people to go in the different way. It's just you lose out on a lot of healing going to the left here. So you want to get Power of the Dark Side, you want to be going up through here, you want to be getting the Sins of the Many, and then you want to be going around getting Confession, the Fade, damage reduction up through this way. I mean, you could even go this way. I just think this penance one here is very mandatory to get. You could even get this one first and then go around this way to the left. You should be able to get at least 2 gold dragons before pre-raid. Okay, and the other thing I wanted to talk about was Trinkets. So Trinkets are actually in a very interesting situation. So they did recently just buff these equipped damage Trinkets. So the way that you got to view these Trinkets is that these are you're supposed to be doing 70% of the damage of a DPS. These Trinkets are balanced around being viable for DPS. So if these are going to be doing the same damage, like the equivalent damage a normal Trinket would be doing for a DPS, when you're doing 70%, these are essentially 30% better for you than any other class. Now the damage they do does Atonement Heal. I couldn't actually didn't have atonement on myself when I did that, but they do atonement healing. I believe it hits for 50k, so there should be like a 30k atonement here somewhere. Maybe this one, I'm not sure exactly on where it would be, because obviously you can see it heals a lot. But yeah, so they do scale like that, so they do work with your mastery. The one other thing that is kind of nice to note, it's not really a big impact, but your bonus damage, see, because it's base damage increase, they do affect the Trinkets. So these Trinkets are going to be doing 10% increased damage for you, or even more, so 17 at level 34. And then your talent trait you get in the middle after that will scale them as well. So definitely the Trinkets to be getting are these equip ones that just do damage. They are very good. We can go back to the damage recap for Tichondrius. You can see that Dark Blast, Fell Meteor, they're doing a significant portion on my damage there, and like that's a lot for a Trinket. Like I can guarantee you won't find anybody else with the same amount of damage on their Trinkets. Obviously that is because I'm doing less damage, but it is a significant portion. They don't diminish with the number of mobs, so unless it's over 10. So they're very nice to take. I think that's pretty much it. Like the gearing, you're basically just going for anything with haste. Like the other two stats aren't too bad. The other crit, mastery, versatility aren't too bad. Versatility sadly doesn't double dip, so it's alright. Scale's 30% worse than haste. Haste is pretty much just the go-to. You don't really have much mana problems like the other healers, so haste all day. People are kind of adverse to mastery, but it's not too bad. You want to be trying to pick up crit and crit haste as much as you can, but mastery is not the end of the world, contrary to popular belief. Just don't the gameplay is pretty straightforward. What I do notice people are doing is they're trying to play like a healer though. Like you're gonna get the best numbers from a disc priest if you play as a DPS. Like, you know, you want to be playing to do as much damage as you can, and as you're doing more damage, you're gonna be doing more healing. So, you know, you can see here, like I don't even use Shadow Mend at all, and you know, I'm smashing the Holy Priest up there with the Holy Paladin, and like, you know, it's consistent, right? So yeah, this is four healing, and I'm the slowest healer there. Like, you know, I'm not, you know, you're up with them. You know, obviously damage numbers are going to change, and this is a very small sample, but from all the raid testing I've done, disc has been very good. Like, I saw, you know, Method put out their video saying disc priest was the worst healer. You know, obviously take that with a grain of salt. I would easily, like, obviously if you're gonna be comparing healers, like, disc shouldn't be doing as good as the other ones because they are bringing damage, but I you know, they're up there. They're very good. I'm not gonna be adverse to bringing 2 or 3 in my raid group. I think it'll be a very good pickup. Alright, well that looks like it's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys.